Karen Reid Case, Episode 3, The Blogger's Crusade. Welcome back to our continuing series on the Karen Reid case. I'm your host, and this is Episode 3 of our documentary deep dive into one of the most controversial criminal cases in Massachusetts. In Episode 1, we relived the night of January 29, 2022, the discovery of Boston police officer John O'Keefe's body in the snow outside a Canton home, and the arrest of his girlfriend Karen Reid. In Episode 2, we explored the pre-trial battle, corruption allegations, disputed evidence, and even federal scrutiny of the case. Now in Episode 3, we meet a man who took this case out of the courtroom and into the public square. A blogger who became a crusader, a lightning rod, and ultimately, a defendant himself. This is the story of Aidan Kearney, better known online as Turtleboy. The birth of a movement. In the spring of 2022, a blog appeared that would electrify the case. Its title, The Canton Cover-Up. The blogger behind it, Aidan Kearney, wasn't a reporter from the Boston Globe or a national outlet. He was a former teacher turned citizen journalist. But what he lacked in credentials, he made up for in relentlessness, and a willingness to publish the things mainstream outlets didn't. His central claim was bold: Karen Reid did not run over John O'Keefe. Instead, Turtleboy alleged O'Keefe was beaten inside Brian Albert's home, then left outside to die in the snow. The blog posts were sprawling, fiery, and full of specifics, timelines, phone records, names and photographs. They didn't just question the prosecution story, they turned it upside down. Where prosecutors described a tragic vehicular accident, Turtleboy painted a picture of a coordinated cover-up involving police, prosecutors, and some of Canton's most powerful families. Readers were riveted. To them, these weren't just theories, they felt like revelations. The timeline wars. At the heart of Turtleboy's reporting was time. The prosecution's timeline: Karen dropped John off just after midnight, struck him with her SUV around 12:30 a.m., and left him outside in a blizzard. But Turtleboy pointed to gaps and anomalies in the digital record. He highlighted missing text messages, deleted communications, and most explosively, a Google search allegedly made by Jennifer McCabe at 2:27 a.m. How long to die in cold? To the defense, and to Turtleboy's readers, this was a smoking gun. If someone was Googling hypothermia hours before Karen began searching for John, it suggested others knew he was outside, long before she did. The prosecution fired back. The timestamp came from a write-ahead log, a temporary phone cache that doesn't always reflect real-time searches. They insisted the hypothermia query occurred later, after Karen herself asked McCabe to look it up. But to the true crime audience following Turtleboy, the timeline suddenly looked like quicksand, shifting, unstable, and raising the possibility that the official story didn't add up. Karen's words. Then there were Karen's own words. Police claimed that in the chaos of the discovery she said, "I hit him, I hit him." For prosecutors, this was as close to a confession as they might ever get. But the defense argued context. Karen was hysterical, exhausted, and in shock, asking, "Did I hit him?" as a horrified question, not a statement of guilt. Turtleboy seized on this ambiguity, reminding readers that stress can scramble speech, and interpretation is everything. Was it confession or confusion? The line was blurred, and with it, the weight of her words. The taillight fragments. The physical evidence seemed damning. Red plastic fragments found near O'Keefe's body, said to match Karen's broken taillight. But Turtleboy zeroed in on how the fragments were collected. Reports suggested they were scooped up in red Solo cups. Hardly standard forensic procedure. He questioned the chain of custody. When were they logged? Who handled them? And could pieces have been introduced later? To the prosecution, these were distractions. To the defense, and to thousands of online readers, they were cracks in the foundation of the case. The injuries, and the dog. Perhaps the most haunting details were John O'Keefe's injuries. The state said they were consistent with a pedestrian struck by a car, blunt force trauma, skull fractures, and exposure to the cold. But Turtleboy highlighted what he called inconsistencies: deep bruising on the hands, which looked like defensive wounds. Scratches on the arms that some experts said could resemble animal bites. That led to another explosive angle: the dog. Brian Albert's German Shepherd had been rehomed months after the incident, following another attack on a neighbor's pet. To Turtleboy, this was no coincidence. He argued that John's injuries could match a dog bite, an angle prosecutors flatly rejected as baseless. The death certificate. Adding to the mystery was a document obtained by local media, John O'Keefe's death certificate. The cause: blunt force head trauma with hypothermia. The manner: undetermined. To the defense, this single word was powerful. If even the medical examiner couldn't classify the death as homicide, how could prosecutors be so certain? To the state, it was an early designation, later clarified by investigation. But to Turtleboy's readers, it was validation. The science itself didn't back the charge. D.A. Morrissey versus Turtleboy. As Turtleboy's influence grew, so did pushback. District Attorney Michael Morrissey gave a rare press conference defending his case and condemning what he called harassment of witnesses. Turtleboy responded with a line-by-line rebuttal. He accused the DA of cherry-picking evidence, ignoring gaps in the timeline, and misleading the public about phone records and autopsy findings. To prosecutors, his blogs were reckless misinformation. To supporters, they were fearless truth-telling. The clash became more than a legal dispute. It was a public duel between authority and outsider, with the public left to decide who to believe. The arrest. In October 2023, the duel took a dramatic turn. Aidan Kearney was arrested and charged with dozens of counts of witness intimidation. Prosecutors accused him of contacting witnesses directly, publishing their personal details, and encouraging harassment. To the state, this crossed the line from journalism to criminal conduct. To his followers, it was retaliation, proof that he was getting too close to the truth. Suddenly there were two defendants, Karen Reed on trial for murder, and Turtleboy, the blogger who had championed her cause, now facing felony charges of his own. The cost of crusading. Turtleboy's arrest forced hard questions. Where is the line between citizen journalism and interference? Between raising questions and intimidating witnesses? Between uncovering truth and endangering justice? For the defense, his reporting had been both a weapon and a liability. He had kept the story alive, but his charges threatened to discredit the movement. For prosecutors, his arrest vindicated their warnings, but also handed his supporters a powerful new grievance. The larger questions. By late 2023, the Karen Reed case had become two stories running in parallel. The murder trial of Karen Reed and the witness intimidation trial of Aidan Kearney. Both raised the same fundamental question: who can you trust when the system itself is on trial? Turtleboy's blogs gave people the feeling that they too could piece together a hidden truth, that corruption could be exposed by anyone with persistence and a laptop. It was empowering, it was dangerous, and it was unforgettable. Looking ahead, as episode 3 closes, Karen Reed is preparing for her day in court. She faces a state determined to convict her, armed with taillight fragments, alleged statements, and their timeline. Aidan Kearney faces a trial of his own, accused of crossing the line from advocacy to intimidation. The stage is set for episode 4, Karen Reed's first trial. Will the narrative that Turtleboy built survive the scrutiny of the courtroom? Or will the prosecution's theory, so fiercely defended, prove stronger under oath and cross-examination? The next chapter will reveal whether this case is truly about one tragic night, or about the larger battle between citizens, the press, and the justice system itself.